Purgatory, a reject story by Casanova, Nobody, Frankenstein. To be almost always alone from the age of 13 all the way through high school, spending all of my time reading crazy magazine, listening to the Busboys and Gary Newman records, drawing in a spiral binder and trying to avoid being seen by my tormentors. Just thinking about comic book drawing styles and not understanding the world or my surroundings. Coming home and trying to receive some sort of affection from my parents, mostly a couple of jokes shared, and then being told to leave them alone. Then to my room with the sitcoms and underground comics, trying and failing to study, my mind unable to grasp those things it viewed as illogical or unimportant, but devouring the things it found interesting. Doodling, trying and failing, and trying again to teach myself the alchemy of art, but always coming up short. Even though the other kids thought I was good, it didn't matter to me. I didn't think I was. I didn't want to draw as well as a good teenager. I wanted to draw at the level of the professionals, but I always seemed to come up short and disappoint myself. So there I would sit, trying not to enjoy myself too much or to get too engrossed in what I was doing, because that would just bring the following day and its troubles to me that much more quickly. Going to sleep at 9 p.m. because I'd been doing it since I was a little kid, and my parents never got around to telling me that I could stay up any later than that. Then falling asleep in a messy-ish room, a bookshelf by my bed, encyclopedias at eye level, comic books and the Hustler magazines underneath them, on the lower shelf, odds and ends on the bottom, still afraid of monsters and Satan. Waking to a harsh alarm, bleary-eyed, already wearing long underwear, I step into my socks and head down the hallway towards the bathroom, wintertime dark. Oppressive, yet as comforting as a grave. I was still invisible. Brushing my teeth and trying to wash the pimples of my face. Trying to brush my tangled hair into never-arriving waves. Picturing the day ahead in my mind's eye like a battle strategy. Trying to time it so that I didn't have to ride the CT8 bus with my loud, threatening classmates. Trying to figure out how to avoid them all in a day filled with gym class in between hallways and slamming lockers. Trying to avoid them, yet simultaneously humor them for as much acceptance as they were likely to give me. It was like trying to pet a growling dog that's blocking your path. Never understanding why I was picked on and laughed at. Never seeing my leather jacket and engineer boots as a liability. Never having name brands forced me away from acceptance. It was a chilly walk with a heavy backpack, books, comics and assorted junk. No lunch. The Western Avenue bus rattling and banging me down to the 87th Street transfer. The 87th Street bus was then taken the 8 blocks through the white neighborhood, Oak Lawn, that bordered my school on the southeast. I'd walked it before, but it was terrifying. Once I crossed the railroad tracks, I knew that I could be in serious trouble, even in broad daylight. White people on the south side gave less than a fuck about your life. There are always a couple of noisy black kids from my school on that bus. The earlier I left home, the fewer of them would have to ride with. But leaving earlier meant standing outside the school for a longer time in near-zero weather, waiting for someone to open the doors. I hand my transfer to the bus driver while simultaneously trying to read the situation from the corner of my eye in a fraction of a second. If I feel threatened, I'll sit near the front, though that makes me look like a nerd and a white boy, and sets a bad tone for the whole day. I sit there and wave meat in front of the beast. If, on the other hand, they seem somewhat sedate to me, then I will move closer to the back, even though that means risking flicked ears, a slapped neck, and their near constant condescending laughter. The bus pulls up to the first school stop, the black entrance. It's never formally called that, but all of the black kids would be coming from the east, and this was the eastern entrance. The white kids would be coming from the northwest, west and southwest, Chicago. I can get off at the black stop with the others, as they roughhouse and yell and stomp and work each other up, or I can go in through the white entrance. The latter choice, however, sets me up to be seen as an Oreo. Down on the white end, I am mostly ignored, but never threatened. I am somewhat tolerated, and some of them may speak to me, which may include nigger jokes, but you take the bitter with the sweet. Eh? I go inside and to my locker only when it's closer to class time. I think that this will keep the beasts occupied. First three classes: mathematics, theology and gym. My mind is a blank during algebra. I can't understand it, so I shut it out and instead draw comic book stories in my spiral notebook, hoping the teacher ignores me as I wait for the bell to ring. I go downstairs for the religion class. The subject fascinates me. I'd been trained early on to believe that Jesus died for my sins on a cross. My not believing meant that I would, upon dying, burn forever without end in a furnace while being tortured by demons. This is part of the reason for my attentiveness. The other reason I like the class is because the teacher, the reverend, is a genuine comedic cut-up. I anger my classmates by answering his questions so enthusiastically, questions they won't or can't answer themselves. They are angry at the easy relationship between me and this non-sports coach white man. Gym class is hell. Undressing my skinny self around those overly aggressive, shouting athletes who all seem to share the same mind. I try to remain invisible. Going out into the gymnasium, I fail miserably at the games. I have no idea how to play them. My awkward movements, poor hand-eye coordination, and general lack of competitive hunger guarantee disaster. I am guaranteed angry words for not being able to catch the ball or for throwing it the wrong way. Everything is too loud and bright and moving too fast. Even the coach is disgusted by me. "Come on, man, what you doing out there?" And when he turns his head, the ball is thrown at me, hard. The girls are on the other side of the heavy curtain separating the gym floor, unless we are running or playing volleyball. So at least I'm spared their seeing me. I am sure to be loving one of those girls from afar. My day is full of fear and empty desire for a girlfriend. Someone to talk to kiss, to prove that I am not an unlovable faggot. For your interest, black boys that can't play sports are faggots. Did you know that? When those faggots are trying to get dressed after gym class, their faggot clothes are hidden, dunked in the toilet or tossed around. Monkey in the middle. These faggots are cowed by large and popular boys, men really. They have big hairy chests and big dicks that they don't seem to want to hide. The weak are dominated in a precursory prison shower type way. Yet their victims are the faggots. Some of us snap, some of us suicide, but many of us, thankfully, persevere. Without us, it is nothing but a world filled with these unfiltered beasts. At lunch, I sit by myself, or perhaps with some of the nerdier white kids, or the gay black boy, or the girl who is probably an undercover narcotics officer. A bag of chips and a soda, or maybe a package of raspberry singers. I'm 5'7" and 125 pounds. The day is a bit easier after gym class, their appetites now sated. Their attention turns towards girls or after-school plans. But my guard is up for a kid 1 grade behind me. I fought this boy in the street back in the 8th grade. When I got here for freshman year, things weren't so bad, but then he followed me to this school that next year. He was the one that focused the derision of the others to me, the one that made me flinch, the one I always had to beware of. I enjoy art class. No matter the medium, I am comfortable and focused. I am the athlete in there, and the beasts can't stand it. I work at my projects and try to impress the teacher with my ability, while simultaneously trying not to be obvious about it. The teacher is even weaker than me. He's young looking with a sandy mustache. The beasts call him OP, sometimes to his face. They don't care. He's a punk and I'm a punk. And together we are a couple of fags. Study hall is after biology. It's the last period of the day. Rows of cafeteria tables facing the monitor in the front, who sits at a podium, shouting out who gets demerits for talking or sleeping or wool gathering. This period is for studying schoolwork only. I open my textbook and start drawing in my notebook. I'm alone at the table. There's an earphone cord running down the length of my sleeve. It is plugged into an AM/FM transistor radio in my inner jacket pocket. The speaker end is cupped in my palm. I listen to the Steve and Gary radio show by resting my head on my palm. They are so funny that sometimes I have to cough to cover my laughter. This is the last lightness of the day, and that's because I am alone and safe and smiling. After school, I often sneak out the white side and take the Catsea Avenue bus south and transfer at 95 Fifth heading east, even though I get angry looks, even though I have to transfer twice or walk for 4 frigid blocks. It is preferable most of the time just to be left alone. I get home and am alone for a while. I check the mail. Coupons fascinate me. Sweepstakes and other junk mail seem to be teeming with hidden messages. I don't understand any of it. It's as though it is all written in hieroglyphics. I go watch the Three Stooges or sitcoms on TV. I've taped All My Children, but I save it for later, in case my mother wants to watch it with me when she gets home, if she's in the mood. I'll admit to an addiction to the show. The characters are closer to me than my own family members, so strange. The most positive emotions I've experienced are based around fictional realities that seem to end with a moral, unlike real life. If my father gets home and is upset about something, he will point to the TV screen and down me for watching that shit like a bitch. The episode has now lost its charm, but I still watch it just to spite him. If my father works the day shift, then he is at home at night and we all eat together. Whatever my mother has cooked, I try to make conversation with her, but usually only succeed in annoying her. I close myself behind my locked bedroom door and breathe a sigh of relief. I consider masturbating, even though the door lock has before been unceremoniously sprung by a butter knife. Instead, I study comic books or watch a millionth rerun of a Brady Bunch episode. The next day, already weighing on my mind, thinking of girls that I will never be able to talk to, girls who would just laugh in my face because they see me as a corny Oreo, or girls that would ignore me because I wasn't white. I repeated the series of actions with a little variation for the last 3 years of high school. This repeated pattern of fear, isolation and longing. 3 years of contemplated suicide and loneliness, and unanswered questions about why things were the way people accepted them. But as soon as I could, I ran. I ran as far and as fast and as hard as I could run, all the way to the Texas Panhandle. Every step of the journey chipping off another slab of hardened grime from my soul. Things can and will change if you can stay alive long enough, if you can hold on until you see your window of escape. But in the end, I am what I am because of those years, like Batman or the Joker. I am because I was forced into myself, which is a place that most people are terrified to go. But it was the best thing that could have happened to me. Sometimes the best way to grow is to be forced to look at yourself and the horror around you, without the input of those around you. Once you look honestly into your soul, you've taken a huge step on your way to actual living. Casanova, nobody Frankenstein, was born in August of 1967 to working-class parents in the South Side neighborhood called the Jeffrey Manor. His childhood home was located 11 blocks from the house where Richard Speck went on his deranged nurse-raping killing rampage. His home had the same floor plan as the murder home. His home was also located 2 miles from the city incinerator and sits on land that is reclaimed landfill. After leaving home at the age of 17 to attend Texas Tech University on a fine arts scholarship, he learned many things about the way people hide their fears and live behind false fronts. He had a short 90s underground comics career with the publication of The Adventures of Ted Martin. Cassie currently lives in Austin, Texas, with a human skull in a box named Charlie, where he fools people into thinking that he's nothing more than a mild-mannered janitor. Purgatory, Casanova, Nobody, Frankenstein, a reject story published by Fantagraphics Underground.